Some families break quietly, one photo at a time. Sometimes the cracks don't start with a scream or a slammed door, but with a smile that lasts just a little too long for the camera. This is one of those stories. Mia was 10 the first time her mother, Sophie, brought out the new camera. A shiny DSLR that gleamed under the Florida sun like a promise. She remembered how her mom's eyes lit up, like she'd found something she'd been waiting for all along. "Smile for the camera, sweetheart," Sophie had said that day, kneeling on the sand with her hair tied back and her voice soft but expectant. Her younger brother, Liam, had sand all over his face, giggling as waves lapped at his toes. Their dad, Mark, was nearby, holding the beach bag and pretending to check his phone, though everyone knew he was watching Sophie the whole time. That day, they weren't just a family at the beach. They were the Sunshines. At least, that's what Sophie would later call them online. Her handle at Sophie Sunshine would soon be tagged on every photo, every caption, every staged moment of their life. But back then, it still felt like play. Mia loved the click of the shutter, the way her mom laughed when she did something silly. Even the long poses didn't bother her, not yet. Sophie would crouch low, framing the shot. "Hold still, baby. Okay, now look at me. Perfect. That's my little sunshine." When she posted that first photo, the one with all of them holding ice creams that were melting too fast to eat, Sophie got 50 likes. She gasped as if she'd just won the lottery. "Oh my God, look at this. People love it," she said, showing her phone to Mark. He'd smiled politely. "It's a nice picture," he said. But Mia noticed the way his smile didn't reach his eyes. After that, every weekend became a photo shoot. Picnics, beach walks, pancake breakfasts, all perfectly planned, perfectly lit. Sophie started keeping matching outfits in labeled bins, spring pastels, 4th of July reds, cozy Christmas. Sometimes, Mia caught her mom scrolling late at night, watching other families, other moms who looked flawless and free. Sophie would whisper to herself, "I can do that. I can be that." At first, it was harmless. She'd film funny moments, Liam's missing tooth, their dance parties in the kitchen. But slowly, something began to change. The laughter became rehearsed. The hugs, a little tighter, a little longer, until the camera clicked. And Mia began to notice how her mom's smile faded the moment the phone was lowered. One afternoon, they were at a cafe near Clearwater Beach. Sophie wanted a cute mommy-daughter shot. She placed 2 pink smoothies on the table and brushed Mia's hair back again and again until it looked Instagram perfect. "Sit up straight, honey," Sophie said, lowering her voice but sharpening her tone. "Can you smile?" "No, not like that. Softer. Pretend you're happy." Mia tried. She really did. But something about pretending felt heavy, like trying to breathe through someone else's lungs. When Sophie finally got the picture, she sighed in relief. "Beautiful," she said, scrolling through the shots. "You're my little star, Mia." But when Mia looked at her own reflection in the cafe window, she barely recognized herself. The girl staring back didn't look happy. She looked staged. That evening, Sophie posted the picture. "Just a little mommy-daughter date," the caption read, with 3 heart emojis and a tag for the smoothie shop. Within minutes, comments poured in. "You're such a perfect mom. Goals. Cutest duo ever." Sophie beamed as she read them out loud. But Mia sat on the couch, staring at the screen. She couldn't help thinking none of them knew how long that picture took. None of them saw the tiny argument, the tears she blinked back before smiling. Later that night, while brushing her teeth, Mia heard her parents talking. Her dad's voice was low, tired. "Sophie, maybe you should slow down. It's getting too much." "Too much?" she snapped. "I'm building something, Mark. People love us. They love our family." There was a pause. Then Mark's voice again, soft but sad. "Do we still love us?" Mia froze. The sound of the faucet drowned the silence that followed. When she glanced toward their room, Sophie was staring at her phone again, the glow of likes lighting up her face. That night, Mia couldn't sleep. She thought about the photos, all the smiling faces, the bright beaches, the sunshine. And how, somehow, her heart felt darker after every post. The next morning, Sophie woke them up early. "New idea," she chirped. Matching pajamas breakfast photo shoot. Mia smiled weakly and nodded. She'd already learned something most kids her age hadn't. That love could come with conditions. That smiles could be rehearsed. And that even family could become content. That morning, as her mom adjusted the camera, fixing every little detail, Mia sat still, her hands folded neatly in her lap, the sunlight catching her hair just right. Sophie lifted the camera and said again, "Smile for the camera, sweetheart." Mia did. But inside, something small and quiet shifted, a piece of her that no longer belonged to her. That was the day she learned love could have a camera angle. It started with a single post, and before long, it became a brand. By the time Mia turned 11, her mom, Sophie, wasn't just Sophie anymore. She was Sophie Sunshine. Every day began the same way, not with breakfast or hugs, but with lighting. Ring light. Tripod. Perfect angle. The house always smelled of hairspray and brewed coffee, and a kind of tension that lived between the walls. Sophie would float from room to room, her phone in hand, narrating everything like she was hosting a show. "Good morning, my sunshines," she'd say into the camera, her voice a few notes higher than usual. "Today we're making the cutest school lunches, Mia. Wave." Mia would smile, wave, and quietly pack her real lunch behind the camera, peanut butter, no crusts. Then Sophie would shout, "Got it," and rush to edit before the kids even left for school. At first, everyone thought it was exciting. Neighbors started recognizing Sophie from Instagram. The local cafe offered free muffins in exchange for a tag. Even the school moms whispered about her, half jealous, half admiring. Mia overheard one of them once say, "She's like a celebrity now, and her kids are adorable." Sophie had smiled proudly at that. But Mia noticed the quick flicker of something else in her mom's eyes, hunger. Soon, the kitchen turned into a studio. The dining table disappeared under ring lights, backdrops, props, and boxes of sponsored products. Mia used to draw there, but now there wasn't any space left that wasn't curated. Sophie would spend hours perfecting captions. "Family is everything. Grateful for these little blessings." But between those perfect sentences, the house felt quieter. Mark, her dad, started coming home later. The first few times, Sophie didn't even notice. When she finally did, she said it on camera with a laugh. "Daddy's out working hard for his girls." But later that night, Mia heard their voices behind the closed bedroom door. Mark's low and weary. Sophie's sharp, defensive. "You're not living, Soph, you're performing." "I'm doing this for them," she hissed back. "For our family." Mia pressed her ear against the wall and heard something she'd never forget. Her father whispering, "Then why do they all look so sad when the camera's off?" The next morning, Sophie filmed a morning cuddles video in bed with the kids. Mark wasn't there. When one of her followers commented, "Where's hubby?" Sophie replied with a heart emoji and said he was camera shy. Mia knew better. He wasn't camera shy, he was disappearing. By then, the follower count had passed 50,000. Brands started calling. Free clothes. Free toys. Paid trips to Disney. Sophie's phone barely left her hand. Even dinner became content. She'd say, "Wait, don't eat yet, I need a flat lay." One night, as the spaghetti grew cold, Liam asked, "Mom, can we eat before the likes?" Sophie froze, then forced a laugh. "You're funny, baby." But no one likes pictures of half-eaten food. Mia smiled at her brother, but her heart ached. Even at 8, he could see it, that their life was turning into one long commercial. When the first brand deal arrived, a Florida swimsuit company, Sophie cried tears of joy. She made them all line up by the pool, dressed in coordinated turquoise suits. "Okay, everyone, look at me, big smiles," she said. It was almost sunset. The sky behind them blazed gold and coral, the kind of light that makes everything look perfect. Mia held her little brother's hand as Sophie adjusted her phone again. "Now laugh. Like you're having fun." They did. They laughed until Sophie was satisfied and the camera stopped. Then, silence. Her mom looked down at the photos, her face glowing from the screen. "This one will blow up," she whispered. And it did. Within hours, it went viral. Hundreds of comments, thousands of likes. Sophie Sunshine became the new name everyone wanted to collab with. But as the screen lit up with hearts, something inside their home dimmed. Mark spent more nights at his office. Dinner conversations were replaced by analytics, and the sound of laughter was replaced by the mechanical click of the camera shutter. Mia used to think her mom's eyes sparkled because of happiness, but now she realized it was just the ring light. Sometimes, when Sophie filmed her "Good night, my loves" stories, Mia would stand just outside the door, watching through the crack. Her mom's voice was warm, her smile dazzling. But the moment the recording ended, the smile would drop, replaced by a sigh, a flicker of emptiness. Mia didn't know what scared her more, the fact that her mom was pretending, or the fear that she might not know how to stop. That night, as Sophie scrolled through her growing follower count, Mia whispered to herself, "She doesn't even see us anymore." And as the glow of the phone filled the room, she understood something she'd never forget. The brighter her page got, the darker our house became. By the end of that summer, the world knew Sophie Sunshine, but no one really knew Sophie. Her smile had become a brand. Her kids, her co-stars. And the house that once echoed with laughter now hummed with rehearsed joy and clicking shutters. It was the morning of Mia's 12th birthday. Sophie had planned a perfect pink party for the channel, pastel balloons, sprinkle cake, and a DIY Mom of the Year banner taped above the table. Every detail had been checked twice. But Mia didn't feel like celebrating. She'd been fighting a headache all morning and just wanted a quiet day. When Sophie walked into her room holding a camera, Mia turned away. "Sweetheart," her mother said softly, "we just need a few clips, then you can rest." Mia shook her head. "Mom, please, not today." Sophie frowned, lowering the camera slightly. "But the sponsors are expecting this video, honey. Just 10 minutes, okay?" Mia's throat tightened. "Can't you just not film today?" Her mother's smile faltered, then quickly reappeared, polished and practiced. "Mia, baby, people are waiting to see your big day. They love you. Don't you want to make them happy?" 10 minutes later, Sophie was setting up balloons and angles while Mia sat silently on the couch. The candles flickered. The pink frosting gleamed. Everything looked perfect, except the girl in the middle. When Sophie hit record, she crouched beside her daughter and said in that sweet, sing-song voice, "Okay, my sunshine girl, tell everyone how excited you are." Mia forced a smile. "Yeah, really excited." But then Liam, her little brother, accidentally dropped his cupcake. Pink frosting splattered on the white rug. Sophie gasped, her voice sharp now. "Liam, I told you to be careful." He froze, tears brimming in his eyes. The camera was still recording. "Stop crying," Sophie snapped quietly. "You're ruining the shot." Mia's headache pulsed harder. She pushed her plate away. "Mom, can we please just stop filming?" Sophie didn't hear or didn't want to. "Come on, sweetheart, just one more smile," she said, brushing Mia's cheek with frosting-smudged fingers. And that's when Mia's eyes welled up. "I said stop," she shouted, slapping the camera away. The room fell silent. The only sound was the faint buzz of the ring light. Mark walked in from the hallway, startled. "What's going on?" he asked. Sophie straightened, cheeks flushed. "She's being dramatic again," she said quickly. "Every time I try to do something nice, she ruins it." Mia stared at her, stunned. She wanted to yell, "It's not nice if it's fake." But she just ran upstairs instead, heart pounding, tears blurring her vision. She slammed the door and buried her face in the pillow. For the first time, she wished the cameras could see her now. Maybe then her mom would finally notice the pain behind the perfect picture. That evening, Sophie came into her room. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "Hey, sweetheart. I posted the video. People are sending so much love. You should see the comments. They totally get it." Mia froze. "What video?" Sophie smiled awkwardly. "Your birthday one. Don't worry, I cut out the shouting part, but I kept the tears. It looked real." Mia's chest went cold. "You posted that?" she whispered. "It's relatable, honey," Sophie said, as if it were a good thing. "Moms go through tough days too. People love seeing the truth." Mia didn't reply. She just stared at her mother, trying to understand how her pain had turned into someone else's entertainment. The next day at school, everyone had seen it. Classmates whispered behind her back, calling her Drama Queen Sunshine. Someone even played the clip in the hallway, her tear-streaked face frozen on the screen, her mother's soothing voice over it. Sometimes parenting isn't perfect, and that's okay. Mia wished she could disappear. That night, she sat in her room scrolling through the comments. Poor mom, she's doing her best. That girl needs to appreciate her mother more. I cried watching this. Each one cut deeper. They didn't see a girl who was hurting. They saw content. Sophie walked in, glowing with excitement. Mia, it went viral. 500,000 views in a day. Mia looked up slowly, tears in her eyes. Why are you happy about that? Sophie blinked. Because it means people care. But Mia knew better. They didn't care about her. They cared about the show. That night, she unplugged her lamp and stared at the dark ceiling. For the first time, she felt afraid of her own home, afraid that every word, every tear, every mistake could end up online. When Sophie knocked softly on her door later, whispering, "Good night, sweetheart," Mia pretended to be asleep. Because if she opened her eyes, she might have to see that phone again, that glowing lens that no longer felt like love. There's a kind of silence that only comes before goodbye. It doesn't shout or announce itself, it just settles in. And for Mia, that silence had been growing for months. After the birthday video went viral, Sophie's world only got louder. More followers, more sponsors, more stories to post. But in their house, everything else grew quieter. Mark, her dad, started spending long evenings in his office. Sometimes, he'd come home after everyone was asleep. Sometimes, not at all. Mia would wake up to find cold coffee on the counter and a text from him that said, "Morning, kiddo. Be good today." She missed him. The way he used to flip pancakes on Sundays or tell her stories about real sunshine, the kind that didn't need filters. But lately, he barely looked at the camera, let alone the family behind it. One evening, Sophie burst through the door, waving her phone. "Guess what? A parenting magazine wants to feature us," she squealed. Front page, the Sunshine family. Mark didn't even look up from his laptop. "That's great," he said flatly. Sophie frowned. "That's it? You don't sound happy." Mark sighed, rubbing his temples. "I'm just tired, sophomore tired of living with a camera pointed at us." Her tone sharpened instantly. "You're tired? I'm the one creating all this, for our future, for our kids." He looked up then, his voice steady but heavy. "Our kids don't need followers, Sophie. They need parents." Mia stood in the hallway, holding her breath. She shouldn't have been listening, but she couldn't move. Her parents' words felt like cracks forming in the walls, small, but growing. Sophie crossed her arms. "You don't understand how hard I'm working. I'm finally building something that matters." Mark's voice dropped lower. "Then why does it feel like you're losing everything that does?" The words hung in the air, quiet, unshakable. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Sophie turned away, muttering, "Maybe you just don't believe in me." That night, Mia found her dad sitting in the garage, staring at the family photo that used to hang in the living room. It had been replaced weeks ago, swapped out for a framed screenshot of their Instagram page hitting 100,000 followers. He ran his fingers over the old photo, his voice barely a whisper. "This was before the filters," he said. Mia sat beside him, quiet. "I miss it too," she said softly. He smiled, the kind of smile that hides hurt. "Don't ever let anyone tell you a picture is worth more than peace, okay?" She nodded, but her throat ached too much to speak. The next morning, he was gone before sunrise. Sophie didn't mention it. She was too busy setting up a new sponsorship video, family morning routine. "Liam. Mia. Hurry up, Daddy will be home any minute," she called, arranging plates of untouched pancakes. When the camera started recording, Sophie smiled bright and wide. "Good morning, my sunshines. Just a cozy breakfast with my favorite people." But when Mia glanced at the empty chair beside her, she noticed the shadow of the ring light glowing where her father used to sit. Hours later, the video was online. Comments poured in. Such a beautiful family. Your husband's so supportive. Sophie replied with heart emojis and gratitude. But that night, when Mia asked, "Mom, when's Dad coming home?" Sophie hesitated. "He's taking a little time for himself," she said finally. Her tone was careful, almost rehearsed. "Don't worry, sweetheart. We're fine. The followers are praying for us." Mia blinked. "The followers?" Sophie smiled tightly. "They're family too, honey. They love us." Mia looked down at her plate. There were hundreds of strangers who loved the version of them on screen, but not one who could sit beside her right now. Days turned into weeks. Her dad sent texts, then shorter ones. Then, one day, nothing at all. Sophie filled the silence with new videos, single mom strength, finding happiness again, new beginnings. The likes rolled in. The followers grew. But the house grew emptier. Mia stopped sitting at the breakfast table. Liam started sleeping with his toy truck clutched against his chest, the one their dad had given him. And Sophie, she smiled brighter than ever on camera. One evening, as Mia scrolled through her mother's newest post, she saw the caption. "Sometimes love means letting go. We're doing great. Thank you for your prayers." The picture showed the three of them, smiling on the porch. It looked perfect. Almost holy. But when Mia looked closer, she realized something was missing her dad's shadow. It wasn't just cropped out. It was erased. That night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling fans spinning slow circles above her. Somewhere in another part of town, her father was probably doing the same, staring at a ceiling that didn't glow with camera lights. And for the first time, Mia wished she could trade all their followers for one real family dinner again. When love becomes content, you stop knowing where the real story ends. And for Mia, that line had already blurred long ago. After her dad left, Sophie's profile exploded. Single mom resilience, healing through hustle, the power of positivity. Each caption was polished, inspiring, and perfectly framed. But the truth behind those posts? It was quieter, heavier. The kitchen table that once held pancakes and coffee cups was now buried under PR boxes and brand deals. Laptops, ring lights, unboxing Thursday vlogmas, morning routine. Every corner of the house had a backdrop now. Every wall had a color palette. Sophie no longer said, "Good morning." She said, "Cameras rolling." Liam learned early to smile when the red light blinked. Mia learned when to stay still. "Okay, Mia. Tilt your head just a little, perfect. Say self-love." Her mom's voice was bright, almost musical. Mia smiled. "Self-love," she said quietly. But inside, she felt nothing. Music softened, small pause. The comments rolled in. "You're such an inspiration, Sophie. Your daughter's so lucky to have you." Mia used to read them all, searching for something true. But the words began to feel like static, all sound, no warmth. One afternoon, Sophie announced a new campaign. "It's huge, Mia. A skincare brand wants a full family collaboration. We'll shoot everything next week." "Family?" Mia asked softly. Her mother froze for a moment, then forced a laugh. "Well, us, obviously." Mia didn't say anything. The silence between them hummed like the fluorescent lights above. By then, Sophie had a manager, a schedule, and a publicist. Every emotion was timed. Every caption reviewed. Even their smiles had a posting hour. "Remember, sweetheart," Sophie said, curling Mia's hair before the shoot. "Brands love authenticity." Mia looked at her reflection in the mirror. Her curls bounced perfectly. Her dress matched the pastel background. She didn't look authentic. She looked manufactured. The camera clicked again and again. "Show me love," the photographer said. So Mia wrapped her arms around her mother, gently, mechanically, while Sophie beamed for the lens. "Perfect," he said. And for a split second, Sophie whispered, "Good girl." It was the kind of praise that used to mean something. Now, it just felt rehearsed. Soft piano joins the melody, emotional undertone rising. That night, Mia scrolled through the photos. They looked flawless, soft light, tender smiles, filtered joy. The caption read, "Family isn't about who stays. It's about who shows up every single day." Hashtags followed. Hashtag momboss, hashtag family first, hashtag healing together. The post went viral. Sophie laughed when she saw the numbers climb. "Look, Mia, we're trending," she said, tears in her eyes, not from pain, but pride. Mia forced a smile, then turned away. In the dim glow of her phone, she opened her dad's old text thread. The last message read, "Miss your laugh. Call me when mom's not filming." She never did. Not because she didn't want to, but because, lately, she couldn't remember what her real laugh sounded like. Weeks passed. The brand deals multiplied. Sophie started doing motivational talks online. "Pain is just the universe redirecting you," she'd say with perfect posture, a soft smile, and a neatly color-graded living room behind her. People adored her. They called her the woman who turned heartbreak into hope. But at home, her daughter was quietly fading into the background of her own mother's success story. Mia learned how to hold a smile for 40 seconds. She learned how to say, "We're doing great," even when her throat burned. She learned that tears were not aesthetic. One evening, Liam accidentally knocked over Sophie's new camera. It cracked, a tiny line down the screen. Sophie froze, staring at it like it was glass breaking inside her. "Do you have any idea how much that cost?" she snapped. Liam's eyes filled instantly. "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean." "Go to your room," she said coldly. The house fell into a thick silence. Only the broken camera light flickered red, faint, blinking like a dying heartbeat. Mia picked it up quietly. "It still works," she whispered. But Sophie didn't answer. She was already scrolling through her phone, searching for a replacement, not realizing something far more fragile had already cracked. Later that night, Sophie posted a story. "A mother's love never breaks. It only bends and becomes stronger." It got thousands of hearts. People commented, "You're my role model. You're such an inspiration." But Mia didn't tap like. She just stared at the glowing screen, wondering what kind of love only existed when the camera was on. The house looked beautiful online, white walls, candles, smiles frozen mid-laughter. But outside the frame, there were dishes piled high, cold dinners, and silence so thick you could hear your own heartbeat. Sophie called it rebranding. Mia called it pretending. Every morning began with a checklist. Lights good? Hair brushed? Background clean? Then, smile for 30 seconds. Say something cute, baby. It wasn't a morning, it was a shoot. Every breakfast, a backdrop. Every word, a line. And lately, Sophie's smile had grown tighter. She was chasing bigger sponsors, more followers, more numbers. When one post didn't perform, she blamed the lighting, or the algorithm, or herself. One afternoon, Mia overheard her mother on the phone. No, don't push that video yet," Sophie said quickly. My engagement's down since the divorce post, okay? I need something hopeful." The word hopeful sounded wrong in her voice. Forced. Like makeup over a bruise. That night, Mia watched her mom film a family update. The camera blinked red. Sophie smiled. "We're healing, we're growing, and we're so grateful for your love." Then the moment the recording stopped, she dropped her shoulders and muttered, "God, I'm exhausted." Her smile disappeared like a light switched off. Later, Mia helped Liam with homework in the kitchen. He looked up, whispering, "Do you think Mom's tired of us?" Mia froze. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "She only looks happy when she's talking to the camera." Mia didn't answer. She just kept her head down and circled another math problem that neither of them cared about anymore. The next day, Sophie got invited to a live event, a mom influencer brunch in Miami. She spent hours choosing her outfit, curling her hair, practicing her relatable authenticity. Before she left, she kissed Mia on the cheek. "I'll be back by dinner, okay, sweetheart? Make sure Liam does his reading." Mia nodded. But that night, Sophie didn't come home. The next morning, her face was everywhere. Clips. Edits. Shares. The headline read, "Behind the sunshine, viral mom's meltdown caught on camera." Someone had posted a behind-the-scenes video from the event, Sophie yelling at staff, snapping at another mom, and then muttering, "God, I hate pretending to be perfect for these idiots." By afternoon, every comment section turned into a wildfire. People were shocked. Others weren't. She always seemed fake. I knew it. She's human. Stop judging her. The internet split in half. Meanwhile, Mia sat at school, watching her mother's downfall unfold on every phone around her. Kids whispered. Teachers stared. Someone laughed. Isn't that your mom? Mia nodded faintly. Yeah, she whispered. That's her. When she got home, Sophie was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, scrolling endlessly. Her eyes were red, not from tears, but from shock. They're twisting everything, she said quietly. They don't understand what I meant. Mia stood in the doorway. Mom. Sophie looked up, voice trembling. I'm the villain now. One video and everything I built is gone. Mia wanted to comfort her, but she couldn't forget the night Sophie made her retake smiles until her cheeks ached. The moments she called love content. The way she'd turned their lives into a performance. Maybe, Mia said softly, they're just seeing what we saw. Sophie's eyes flashed, a mix of anger and heartbreak. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, Mia whispered, backing away. By midnight, Sophie deleted the video. Then posted another. A tearful apology. A trembling voice. A promise to do better. It got millions of views in hours. But this time, the comments didn't sound like love. They sounded like noise. She's faking it again. Too late for sorry. Classic PR move. Sophie threw her phone across the couch. It landed face down, screen cracked again. For a long moment, she just sat there, breathing heavily, her mascara streaked, her hair undone. Then she whispered, I gave them everything. Mia stood by the doorway, watching. And for the first time, she saw her mother not as the glowing Sophie Sunshine, but as a woman lost, small, terrified of being unseen. Later that night, Sophie opened her laptop, scrolling through the hateful comments, her reflection flickering in the screen's glow. Each word seemed to carve deeper. But what cut the most were the ones that sounded too true. Mia whispered from behind her, Mom, maybe it's time to stop. Sophie didn't turn around. Her voice was almost a breath. I don't know who I am if I stop. And in that moment, Mia finally understood. Her mother hadn't just lost her followers. She'd lost herself somewhere inside the perfect lie. The world finally saw the woman they'd been living with. But for Mia, that truth had always been home. When the world stops loving you, the silence feels louder than hate. And for Sophie, that silence filled every corner of the house. The weeks after the scandal felt endless. Brand emails stopped coming. PR boxes disappeared. Even the doorbell, once ringing with deliveries and excitement, stayed quiet. The only sound was the faint buzz of her phone. Notification after notification. Each one a reminder that her online world was still alive, just not in the way she wanted. Mia watched from the hallway as her mom sat hunched over the couch, scrolling, refreshing, sighing. She's trending again, Liam whispered one evening. But this time, it wasn't for sunshine. Sophie tried to fight back. She posted apologies, explanations, long captions about mental health and forgiveness. But nothing landed. The comments were sharp, cruel, even. She's just playing the victim. Too polished to be real. Now she's using her tears for views. Mia read them silently, one after another, until the words blurred. Her chest felt tight. She wanted to protect her mom. But part of her also felt ashamed. Because deep down, a quiet voice whispered, they're not wrong. Sophie stopped filming for a while. The ring light gathered dust. The camera sat unplugged, its once blinding glow gone. But the absence of it didn't bring peace. It brought something heavier, a vacuum where validation used to live. Her moods became unpredictable. Some mornings, she was fragile, almost childlike, clutching her coffee, whispering, they hate me, Mia. Other days, she snapped at everything, the noise, the dishes, the smallest mistake. When Liam accidentally spilled juice on her laptop, she screamed. Her voice cracked the air. Do you even care how hard I worked for this? She shouted, shaking, eyes wild. Liam froze. Mia stepped between them. Mom, it's just juice. He didn't mean. Don't tell me what he meant. Sophie barked, tears suddenly spilling over. Then she turned away, covering her face. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I can't lose anything else." That night, Mia heard her mother crying in her room. Not the loud, dramatic sobs of a post or video, but small, broken sounds, the kind that come from deep inside. Mia stood by the door, unsure if she should go in. She didn't. Because every time she tried to help, Sophie turned her pain into a lesson about strength or a story about survival. Even now, she couldn't just be sad. She had to perform it. Days turned into weeks. The money began to run out. The sponsored partnerships vanished. Sophie started selling old props and lights, the same tools that once built her empire. She filmed a farewell video. Her voice trembled, eyes red, mascara smudged. "I need time to heal," she said softly. "To be a mom again. To find myself beyond the brand." It was her most honest video yet. But this time, honesty didn't go viral. The views barely reached a few thousand. The comments were sparse, no hearts, no applause. Just a few quiet words from strangers saying, "I hope you really mean it." Sophie turned off her phone and whispered, "Maybe I deserve this." Mia stepped closer, shaking her head. No one deserves to be hated. Her mom smiled faintly, a hollow, tired smile. "Sweetheart, when you live on people's approval, hate feels like justice." That night, they ate dinner together for the first time in months. Just soup. No cameras. No lights. Liam laughed at something on TV, and for a second, Sophie smiled, a real one this time. It flickered, fragile and human. But then her phone buzzed again. She looked down, and the smile vanished. Another article. Another comment thread. Another reminder that her downfall was still trending. She whispered under her breath, "They'll never let me be human again." Mia wanted to reach across the table, hold her hand, say something, anything. But she didn't know how to comfort a woman who once edited her own feelings for an audience. So she just said quietly, "Maybe you don't need them anymore." Sophie looked up, eyes glistening. "For years, they were my everything." "And we?" Mia asked. Her mother blinked, and for a second, something raw flashed in her expression, regret, love, shame, all tangled together. But then she looked away. That night, as Mia lay in bed, she scrolled through old posts, smiling family photos, sunset captions, thousands of hearts. She realized those moments had been their golden cage. The world adored the version of them that never truly existed. And now, with that version gone, they had nothing left but silence, the kind that reveals everything you've tried to hide. For once, the comments weren't lies. And somehow, that truth hurt the most. Sometimes, freedom doesn't come from running away. It comes from choosing not to go back. A month after Sophie's apology video vanished into the noise of the internet, Mia packed a single suitcase. A few clothes. A photo of her dad. And one of her and Liam, taken before all the cameras. Her father was waiting outside in his old blue truck. The same one he drove the day he left. "Ready, kiddo?" he asked softly. Mia nodded. She didn't say goodbye to the house. Or the lights. Or the mother still asleep behind a door that hadn't opened in days. The drive was quiet. No GPS voice, no camera recording the healing road trip. Just the hum of the tires and the scent of salt in the air. Mia stared out the window as palm trees blurred by, sunlight flickering through them like memories she didn't want to hold too tightly. After a while, her dad asked, "How's your mom holding up?" She hesitated. "She's trying." He nodded, not pushing for more. Just let the silence stay between them, the comfortable kind she hadn't felt in years. When they reached his small coastal house, Mia stepped out and inhaled. The air smelled different here, real, unfiltered. No perfume. No staged freshness. Inside, everything was simple. A couch with mismatched cushions. A kitchen that smelled like coffee instead of candles. And a fridge covered in handwritten notes instead of brand magnets. Her dad smiled. "It's not much, but it's ours." "It's perfect," she whispered. The first few days felt strange. There were no alarms for posting schedules. No fake laughter rehearsed for a camera. No content days. Just mornings. And nights. And moments that didn't need to be captured to be real. Mia helped her dad fix old furniture, made dinner, walked on the beach after school. Sometimes they didn't even talk. They didn't need to. One evening, while they sat on the porch, her dad asked, "Do you miss it? The followers, the lights, all that." She thought for a moment. "I miss how happy she looked when people loved her. I just wish she'd saved some of that love for us." He nodded quietly. People can get lost in needing to be seen. But being loved, that's quieter. Mia leaned her head on his shoulder. "I like quiet." Days turned into weeks. Mia began drawing again, something she hadn't done since before the brand started. She drew trees, waves, and faces that weren't smiling for anyone. Her dad framed one. "That's my favorite kind of art," he said, "the kind that doesn't need an audience." She smiled. Maybe that's what real love was, something that didn't ask for proof. One afternoon, she got a text from Sophie. "Hi, sweetheart. I hope you're okay. I miss you and Liam. I'm getting help. I'm sorry." Mia stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back, "I'm okay, Mom. I hope you are too." She didn't say more. She didn't promise a visit. But for the first time, she meant what she wrote. That night, Mia walked down to the shoreline. The sky was bruised with sunset colors, orange fading into violet. She let the waves touch her feet and felt something unfamiliar. Stillness. No one watching. No one performing. Just her, the sea, and the sound of her own heartbeat, quiet, steady, alive. She picked up a seashell, held it against her ear, and listened to the ocean inside it. It sounded like breathing. And she realized she didn't need the noise anymore. For years, her world was built on filters and followers. But now, she was learning how to live in focus. The silence around her wasn't empty. It was full of peace, of truth, of everything she'd been missing. Healing doesn't announce itself. It just walks in, quietly, sometimes wearing the face you once ran from. It had been almost 3 months since Mia left. Life had found its rhythm again: school, sketches, beach walks. Some nights, she even laughed with her dad over burnt toast or silly movies. But then one afternoon, a knock came at the door. Soft, uncertain. Mia froze. Her dad looked up from the kitchen. "You expecting someone?" She shook her head. When he opened the door, Sophie stood there, rain-soaked, smaller somehow. No makeup, no camera bag, no ring light glow. Just a woman with tired eyes and hands that trembled slightly as she clutched a folded umbrella. "Mia," she said softly. Her voice cracked around the name, like it had forgotten how to hold it. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then her dad said quietly, "Come in, Sophie." She stepped inside, hesitant, like she was walking into someone else's story. Mia stood by the table, arms crossed, not in anger, but defense. Sophie's gaze darted between them, the man she'd hurt, the child she'd lost. "I didn't come to film anything," Sophie said quickly, as if she had to prove it. I needed to see her." Her voice broke. "Please." Mia glanced at her dad. He nodded gently. "I'll give you two some time." He left the room. They stood there for a long while. The sound of the rain filled the silence. Finally, Sophie said, "You're taller." Mia's lips twitched. That's what happens when people grow up. A small, sad smile touched Sophie's face. "I missed a lot of that." Mia didn't reply. Sophie took a deep breath. "I've been trying to fix myself. Therapy, real therapy this time. I sold the old house. Deleted everything. I needed to let her go." She paused, eyes glistening. "The woman I pretended to be." Mia looked at her, the wet hair sticking to her face, the trembling shoulders. She almost didn't recognize this version of her mother. Sophie whispered, "I used to think being loved meant being seen. But I see now. I didn't see you at all." Tears burned in Mia's eyes before she could stop them. She swallowed hard. "We were there, Mom. We were right there." "I know." Her voice broke completely. "I just didn't know how to be without the noise." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small photo frame, cracked, edges worn. It was their first family photo. Before the filters. Before the fame. "I kept this," Sophie said. "Even when I erased everything else. Because that day, that smile was real." Mia stared at it, her younger self, Sitting on her dad's shoulders, Sophie beside them, sunlight in her eyes instead of a screen. Mia whispered, "You can't just come back and fix everything." Sophie nodded. "I know. I don't expect you to forgive me today. I just wanted you to know. I'm trying to be a mother again, even if that means starting from nothing." For the first time, Mia believed her. She walked to the kitchen and poured 2 cups of tea, one for herself, one for Sophie. When she placed it in front of her, Sophie blinked in surprise. "It's just tea," Mia said quietly. "But it's a start." Sophie smiled through her tears. "Then I'll start here." They sat in silence, sipping tea, the rain softening outside. No cameras. No followers. Just 2 people learning how to exist in the same room again. Later, as Sophie left, she turned at the doorway. "Thank you," she whispered. Mia didn't answer. She just gave a small nod. When the door closed, her dad stepped out from the hallway. "You okay?" Mia looked at the rain sliding down the window and said, "I think I'm getting there." Forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a decision you keep making, even when the pain still echoes. Maybe love isn't about forgetting what broke you. Maybe it's about seeing what's left and choosing to build anyway. Some endings don't happen with goodbye. They happen in quiet rooms with a deep breath and a decision to finally tell the truth. Sophie sat on her small porch, the ocean stretching endlessly before her. The sky was just beginning to blush with dawn pinks and golds blending like forgiveness itself. Her phone lay beside her. No ring light. No scripts. Just the plain camera app. She'd spent weeks avoiding it, afraid that one click might drag her back into the world she'd escaped. But today felt different. She wasn't here to perform. She was here to confess. Her hand trembled slightly as she hit record. "Hi," she began. Her voice was quiet, unpolished, human. "This isn't sponsored. There's no caption. No brand deal. Just me." She smiled faintly. "I used to think my life only mattered if someone was watching. But I was wrong." She looked away toward the horizon, eyes misty. "For years, I made my children pose for love when all they wanted was peace." She paused, breathing through the lump in her throat. "I told myself it was for them, the house, the trips, the fame. But really, it was for me. Because somewhere along the way, I forgot how to love without proof." Tears slid down her cheeks, unfiltered, raw. "I lost the people I loved most chasing people I didn't even know." Her lips trembled. "Mia, if you see this, I want you to know I don't expect you to come back. I just want you to live free. To never mistake attention for affection. Or silence for peace." She reached to stop the recording, then hesitated. "I once built a life out of pretending. Today, I'm ending that life." Click. The video lasted just 2 minutes. No music. No edits. Just truth. Within hours, it spread, but this time, not because of the perfect lighting or matching dresses. People shared it because it felt real. Because it reminded them that even the brightest filters can hide the darkest loneliness. Comments poured in, not with envy, but empathy. Mothers writing they'd been there. Teenagers saying they finally understood their parents. And one quiet comment from an anonymous account. "Thank you, Mom. I'm glad you're okay." Sophie read it over and over. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, they didn't burn. Across town, Mia watched the same video. She sat by her window, light spilling over her sketchbook. When her mom's voice cracked on the word peace, Mia's pencil stopped moving. For a long time, she just sat there silent. Then she smiled, small but genuine. In that moment, she realized she didn't need to go back to love her mother. Forgiveness could live quietly between 2 hearts learning to beat on their own again. Weeks later, Mia posted a single photo to her private account, not public, not edited. Just the beach. 2 cups of tea in the sand. The caption read, "Healing looks like this." No hashtags. No followers to please. Just truth and peace. In a world full of filters, maybe the bravest thing we can do is to be real. Because sometimes, love isn't loud. It's quiet, messy, unseen. And the families that look the happiest online are often the ones fighting the hardest to stay whole. So if you ever see a perfect family online, don't envy them. Just pray they're okay. Thank you for watching this story on Touching Soul Stories. If this touched your heart, please subscribe, share it, and leave a kind comment below.